I've got another monitor arm for us to look at. This is the Ergotech 7 Flex HD. This is a gas spring arm. Let's take a look. If you guys have been following us, you know that I'm sort of a fan of mounting solutions for monitors. You don't really replace your mounting solution with every new monitor that you get. The mounting solutions that I've had for over 10 years in some cases. I'm a big believer in monitor mounting solutions. And the guys at Ergotech said, hey, we've got something that we think you'll like finally. So why don't we send it to you and see if you can take a look. And they were right, basically. We're going to take a look at the 7 Flex HD. Now this arrived and it's sort of an all black matte finish. It is configurable. It's a gas spring. It's got a huge gas spring, and that's what I really like. This particular one is configurable to hold monitors up to 31 pounds. And so of course you know what we're going to do with this particular monitor arm. We're going to actually use this monitor arm with the Microboard H400 UHD monitor, the 4K 40-inch monitor, but we're going to do that last. So first let's talk a little bit about the arm. Now this particular arm is bundled with cable management and all that kind of thing. It has 6 mounting options for mounting it to your desk. You can drill a hole in your desk, you can put it through like a cable grommet mount, you can screw it into the side of your desk, you can screw it into the wall, you can flip the mount upside down and screw it into the wall that way. You've got a lot of different mounting options for the actual mount. It also comes with a clamp, so you can just do the standard issue clamp mount as well. Me personally, I find that drilling a small hole, usually about a 1/4 of an inch hole, in your desk and mounting it that way is way more sturdy than a clamp mount, but you may not be willing to commit to a monitor mounting solution that involves drilling a hole in your desk. Sometimes if you're getting commercial desks, they already have a hole that you can use for a monitor mounting solution. Steelcase, for example. So, big fan of Steelcase. In terms of the VESA mount options for this display, it's 75 and 100 millimeters. It might be nice to see a 200 millimeter VESA adapter in the Ergotech store, but the monitor that we're going to use this on, even though it's a 40-inch monitor, has a 100 millimeter VESA mount, and this 100 millimeter VESA mount is very thick, very sturdy metal. Some other monitor mounting solutions use metal that gives a little bit. Nope, this is a nice thick piece of metal. It's not going to give or do anything weird. Even though we're using it with a 22-pound monitor, it's going to be fine. Now this particular setup will actually give you up to 8 inches of lift. You can also lower the monitor below the plane of the desk. So it's got 16 inches of travel from top to bottom, but the only way that you could get the lower travel is if you use the wall mount or something like that, and you can actually move it below. But that's actually a nice thing. If your desk is in the corner and you can find a 2x4, you could mount this thing to a 2x4 fairly high and still be able to lower your monitor 8 inches from the plane of the arm. So I would suggest that if you have the option to mount it that way, that you mount it that way. Otherwise the desk mount will be fine, but just know that you're only going to get about 8 inches of lift. Now if you have a desk that's less wide, this thing will fold up in only 3 inches. So if you're going to push the monitor back out of the way, in terms of the depth that it adds to your monitor, it's only about 3 inches, give or take. So it's nice that it folds up like that as it sort of telescopes. And you can kind of see that here where we just sort of move the arm back so that it's sort of on top of itself. The lower bound on the monitor capacity, in case you're wondering, is 12 pounds. So if you've got a monitor that weighs less than 12 pounds, you probably don't want this monitor mounting solution. Although I think that there are other versions of this monitor that have a different gas spring. So if you have a monitor that weighs less than 12 pounds, you can get another version of this arm. It's exactly the same. It just has a different gas spring on the inside so that it can deal with a monitor that's less than 12 pounds. So just keep that in mind. In terms of tilt and pan, you've got 200 degrees of freedom for tilting up and 180 degrees of pan. It does also come with integrated cable management. So you've got this cable management channel that runs down the length of the arm, and then you've got this cable management bracket that'll mount on the back of the L bracket. Now depending on how you mount the arm, you may not be able to make use of this bracket, but if you use the clamp mount or, you know, sort of the side angle mount with your desk, you can use this to actually clip onto the back of the metal piece and have the cable management running off the back of your desk. So that's a nice touch. And this is, of course, only available in black. Another thing that I noticed that's nice is they include a rubber gasket so that you don't scratch and mar your desk beyond whatever hole that you have to use or side clamp for this. So the actual cup that's going to mount on your desk has a rubber grommet so that it's not going to hopefully destroy the surface of your desk, you know, beyond drilling a hole or using the clamp. If you use the clamp, I guess that would be all right. So overall, what's the verdict? Well, I'm really happy to see something of this quality. This is a really premium feeling product, and I think Ergotech has it, at least right now, for the suggested retail pricing that I'm aware of. The pricing is pretty aggressive compared to some of the other solutions. You know, me personally, I use Spaceco, but they are really pricey arms. So overall, this is a really premium feeling product. It's weighty. It feels like it's a really serious piece of monitor mounting gear. The only downside is that I think that the monitor cup should be taller to give you a little bit more lift, especially if you're going to be using this with a larger monitor. It would be nice if the cup that's on the desk were about twice as tall as it is, or maybe even a little bit taller than that, just to be able to give you a little bit more lift. That would also mean that the gas spring, when it's all the way down, you would actually be able to move it through the full 16 inches of motion. As it is, the full 16 inches of motion with the gas spring up and down, you're only going to get that full 16 inches if you've mounted it on a wall, or you can otherwise lower the arm past the plane of the desk or past the plane of where the mounting cup is. That sounds more complicated than it is. Hopefully the video explains what I'm talking about with that a little better. Overall, it's a really solid monitor mounting solution, and it works really well with the 40-inch monitor that I've got here. This is a really good setup for that particular monitor. So overall, pretty happy. If you've got one of these or you're thinking about getting one of these, head on over to the forums at techsyndicate.com. I'm Wendell. I'll see you there. I'm signing out.